Kevin Price with your Price Point Edition. Do want to remind you, of course, you can catch me at the Price of Business, priceofbusiness.com. I do my show Monday through Friday at 11:10 a.m. in Houston, Texas. Plus, don't forget usdailyreview.com, which I'm the publisher and editor-in-chief over there. Fiscal Cliff is as scary as it sounds, and it seems like there's a very high possibility we're going to jump. I looked at CNBC, and the reality is over at CNBC, they're pointing out the fact that all of a sudden Barack Obama, who promised the American people that if they made $250,000 or more, they're the only ones who will be considered rich. Well, guess what? The annual minimum tax will go into effect for individuals who only make $33,000 a year, and for couples who make less than $50,000 a year. Guess what? Thanks to the fiscal cliff, you became rich overnight. Well, that's really not the case. The reality is not only are you going to be poorer, but the entire nation is going to be poorer, and we're probably going to meander, if you will, into total economic, financial chaos. The state of California has announced just this past week that over 300,000 military-related alone jobs over 300,000 will be eliminated overnight if they go off the fiscal cliff. That's one state, one industry. You start going across 50 states, various industries, our unemployment will skyrocket well over 10%, probably hover real numbers close to 15%. And that's not only because of the fact that the government employs so many, but because of the fact so many people live off of those government jobs. For example, the 300,000 plus employees out there in California, they go to certain restaurants on a regular basis. Guess what? They're not going to be going to those restaurants. They lost their job. They go to a certain dry cleaners. Well, you know what? Their dry cleaning will simply not be nearly as important because they're not going to work anymore. And it has a ripple effect. And this is part of the problem with public policy thinking, is they don't think consequentially. They think about these things in a vacuum. They've got to solve the fiscal cliff problem. And the fiscal cliff cannot be solved by, transferring this entire tax burden to the top 1%. Even with the tax increase, with the fiscal cliff, if they go into automatically, which will lead to a Great Depression, in my opinion, all it will do is pay for half of the deficit, not even half of the deficit, for a single year. Meanwhile, the highest income group already pays the largest amounts of taxes of any industrialized country in the world, which means that capital is about to take more and more flight. Saw an article in The Economist magazine just last week. England has the highest tax rate of any of the European countries. And they are actually seeing tax revenues among the richest plummet as people move their incomes to other parts of Europe. The same thing is going to happen in the United States. People are going to protect their income. You know what? That's the American way anyway. That's the capitalist in all of us. This is how you solve the fiscal cliff. You look at the spending side alone. And let me tell you, there is areas in the defense area where they can cut the budget by 10%, and that would have a profound impact and have zero negative impact on the actual defense infrastructure. Across the board, 10% cuts across the board would provide so much impetus to the business environment that they are serious about cutting spending. Of all areas, defense spending should be the last to be cut, but there are ways. In fact, Senator Jim DeMint made a great report that shows that it can be done. The spending has got to get under control. We don't have a taxing problem, we have a spending problem in this country. I'm Kevin Price. Stay tuned for more by keeping an eye right here on the Price Point Edition.